Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of Puffalope's Looping School. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to loop most of the common tiles in DBD and also giving you general tips to watch out for while looping. Keep in mind that this is going to be kind of a long form type of video where I just explain things while playing a custom game, and if you want to skip ahead to certain things, you can just use the timestamps down in the description or hover your mouse over the video player and that's going to take you where you want to go. So this tile, the one downside this tile has is that this wall is like super large. You see how there's this like massive thing. The other side is like slightly smaller, but this means that the killer can just moonwalk and you can't peek at the, you can kind of peek it from this side. You can see the red stain over there. That's another thing. Check spotting is like the most important thing I think in looping. You gotta know where you gotta stand. You might have seen this from me in one of my videos. Every time I'm like looping a killer and I have no clue where he is, I always stand in like this, like the corners. Let's say a shack. Shack is the best spot to check spot in the game because you can stand in these corners and you can see both sides by just looking straight like this. You can see both sides like this. There was this one time that I was streaming with a webcam and I was sitting in this corner and I was check spotting and you can see my eyes going left and right, left and right, left and right. That's what I'm looking. When I'm sitting here in the corner, my eyes is going left and right. And then if I see the red stain at all, I already start moving. But another thing you guys gotta learn is don't immediately start running, okay? This is something I talked about in my first looping guide, but like now more than ever, I understand the value of just walking. Because if the killer is good at the game, he's not going to immediately commit to what he's doing, right? If he shows his red stain over here, let's say I peek the red stain over here, or I see the killer like moonwalking into the wall over there. That doesn't mean immediately that he's going to show up there. Maybe he does a double back. Oh my god! Fuck you! Oh my god! Jesus Christ, bro. I'm trying to explain here. Fuck off. And if I immediately start moving, if I immediately start running this way, for example, fuck you! Get out of here! Go away! No one likes you. Go back to your corner. If you do it again, I'm gonna cry on stream. Okay. He might double back and then he might show up here and I'm already running and let's say and then he's there, you know. And if I'm already running and I'm here and the killer is like there's nothing I can do. I'm gonna get hit. I mean, I guess the best thing I can do is like go this way and try to fake this window. If I vault this window, no matter how I vault this window, he's gonna make it to me, you know. Like there's nothing I can do. I'm just gonna die. So like if I see the killer doing that, I'm gonna stand here and start moving this way slowly, walking this way, and then if I get the confirmation that the killer is there, then I start running. Okay, now how to loop the tile. Okay, can you cloak? Because the music is kind of. Oh, thank you. So how to loop this tile? This by itself is already very strong. This normally wouldn't be strong because this is very skinny. You see how skinny this is? This is very bad. But most of the killers in the game you're going to be able to see over. Even like the smaller killers like Freddy and stuff, you can peek over the thing. Any tile that you have visual in the killer is going to be inherently stronger than any other tile. Even if it's like fatter, you know, like this is stronger than like a long ball jungle gym just because you can react to what the killer is doing at all times. You know, if you see the killer doing a weird double back, like this doesn't mean that you're invincible here by any means. It's bad because the killer can just double back and kill you. If he's faster than you. But again, if you're like walking and reacting to what he's doing, it's hard. But bloodlusting is very hard. So what you do here, let's say, I mean, looping this is very self-explanatory. You almost never want to go this side because you see how like I have no visual here. I have nothing. There's just this fucking massive wall. It doesn't matter how good you are at the game, you can't see through walls, you know? And there's also the locker here, so getting mind gamed on this side is not only like easy to, it's likely. It's likely that you're gonna get mind gamed if you loop this side. But let's say the pallet is dropped. I never want to go this way. I only go this way if the killer is like chasing me here, but I never fake vaulting this pallet this way. Or not never. Sometimes it's gonna be important to. Sometimes you're gonna have to fake this. But once you're in this position where like you gotta fake vaulting this side and then this side, it's a guaranteed hit for the killer. This is something to apply to every loop in the game. Every time the killer is trying to bloodlust you at the pallet, you always go to the longer side. Every time. Because mind gaming you here when the pallet is dropped is much harder. Because even though I don't have any visual, like look at the distance the killer has to go to mind game me here. Like at this point, like this is it's insanely safe. This is super safe. So every time the killer is bloodlusting you, you always try your best to loop this side when the pallet is dropped. Okay, but let's say the pallet is back up. I should have brought any means. There are 2 rotations you can do here. You can go this way. Let's say the pallet is not here. And then you go this way, and then fast vaulting this window. The secret to it, this is a lot easier than most of the windows in the game. You can just do it like this, and it's gonna be a fast vault. But if you're insecure about it, what you can do is you can hug the box, and then you start moving to the window like this. Fast vaulting, the main tip for fast vaulting hard windows is that you only press spacebar when you're like rubbing the window. You see how I'm like rubbing the window and then I'm pressing spacebar? If I press spacebar from too far away, like it's gonna work here. But let's say I do it like this. Okay, I'm just too good at the game. I'm just way too good. Okay, see how like my character vacuumed into the window? It's because when you're running for some reason, the vault shows up way earlier. And then sometimes your character is gonna vacuum into the window and medium vaults. And then this means that you die. I die to this even nowadays because I don't make enough distance to the window, and then I do. I'm just way too good at the game. I'm trying to demonstrate me fucking up, but I just can't because I'm perfect. And then yeah, you see, like that would make me die like 99% of the time because the killer would like be rubbing against me. The thing about fast vaulting is that it's 0.2 seconds faster than medium vaulting, but it launches you forwards. You know, you see how like if I medium vault the window, I have no distance to the window, but then if I fast vault the window, I'm like farther away from the window. That's the main difference between medium and fast vaulting, is that you get distance. If the killer was over there and he swung at me, he would hit the window frame and not me. But if I medium vault and the killer swings here, he hits me. So that's the main difference. That's why you want to prioritize fast vaulting. And back when the fast vaults were bugged, they were bugged because you didn't gain any distance for fast vaulting, and that meant that you would get hit by the killer most of the time. But yeah, this towel is very self-explanatory. It's extremely powerful. You can greed this pallet forever. Okay, it's really hard for the killers to get you here, even if he's bloodless 3. And you can play this side of the window as well. I don't recommend this if you're like brand new to the game, because playing like these like long walls with the window is very hard. You gotta fake the window a lot of the times. But these types of towels where I have this like window with like long walls next to it. They're my favorite towels to loop in the game. Alright, let's go look for like a more common towel, because that towel you're only gonna have one of those in every match, or almost never. These towels are like the default towels in DBD. There's a side that's like loopable, and then there's a side where it's instant death. You never want to go this way unless you're like against a ranged killer. And let's say the hunches is like pulling up. If you go this way, you're gonna die, most likely, because the hunches can just hit you. But this side, you can loop this very, very tight. And because she's a 4.4 killer, doubling back on you here is much harder. You know? So ranged killers, it's okay to loop the shit side of the pallet. But any other killer in the game, you loop this side. Also, be careful with greeting this pallet too much because of how long this is. Chances are you're gonna get hit. Like it's just too long, and the killer is gonna be bloodlusting unless you have made for this the most broken perk in the game. Then you can run this 100 times without the killer reaching you. But if you don't have made for this the most broken perk in the game, you just die there. Shack. Is Shack hard to loop? Do you guys think Shack is hard to loop? I mean, I'm gonna talk about 2 things at Shack. I mean, other than like you can almost always block the Shack window before dropping the pallet. You can almost always block the Shack window. Not really. The thing about Shack is that it's such a strong towel that it's very hard for you to fuck up here. That's why people are like ashamed of dropping Shack pallet early, because it's like Shack, even if they're like, let's say in a world where there isn't a Shack pallet, Shack would still be super strong, because the only option the killer has here to mind game you is like running a fucking marathon to the window over here. Most of the times, even if the killer does this and then double backs to like catch you with the window there, you have time to do this. Like you fast vault the window and then you medium vault back. the killer most likely is not going to make it to you unless he's like bloodlusted, you know. So it's very hard to fuck up if you're running it from this side. If you're running it from this side, let's say the killer is forcing you to run it from this side, there are two things you can do. If you see that you have enough distance on the killer, let's say he's all the way on the other side of the shack, you can ignore the door and just be careful with hooks here. The amount of times I died because it just... There's a cockroach in my room, man. Look, it's a fucking cockroach behind the box there. What the fuck? The amount of times I died because of this hook is insane. Because I'm just running the shack like this, you know? I'm like, oh, no, I'm loopster, I'm gonna look behind myself. And then I just hump the hook and I die. Be careful with the hooks. But you can ignore the door and then go around the shack and then boom. You have the good rotation again. You know, you have the long side to vault the window where you can't fuck up really. But this is dangerous. This is very dangerous. If the killer has even bloodlust 1, or you miscalculate the distance between you and the killer, or maybe you hump the hook, you get hit. So I only recommend this if you're like very comfortable with the distance you have on the killer. But you can always fast vault it from this side. I've had people tell me that they have a problem with fast vaulting it from this side in one of my videos. But it's very simple. You can almost I'm only holding A here and I'm still getting the fast vaults. Yeah, see, that's how you can fuck up, I guess. If you move too close like this is not going to be a fast vault. So I guess what you got to do if you want to do it like this is you got to press S as well. Let's say the killer is after you like this, and then you press S a little bit and you adjust yourself to go for the fast vaults. But this is just muscle memory. I can't teach you muscle memory. Muscle memory just comes with playtime. It's just the way it is. You gotta pay attention to what you're doing. There's not much I can say here. Checkspots though. Check spotting here is bad because the door is over there. Like if you see the killer coming out here, you're just gonna get hit. So the best check spot locations at shack are like these sides of the shack. Or like if the killer comes out the door there, you still have time to make it all the way to the window. Especially if you have made for this the most broken perk in the game, then you have time to run around the shack 52 times and then go for the window. But if you don't have made for this the most broken perk in the game, you gotta pay attention to what the killer's doing. Most of the time, you can make it all the way back to the window, like this, if you run straight. But be careful, because if the killer is chasing you in this direction, he has he can see you faking the window. You know, he can literally see you. A lot of the times when the killer is like doing this, he has to guess if you're gonna fake the window or not, you know, or he has to force you. If he's chasing you this way, you're fucked, because he can see what you're doing. So be careful insta-vaulting this window, because if he sees you committing to the vault, even though it's a fast vault, you're still locked in the animation. So chances are if you just run straight here, he beats you to the pallet. A lot of the times he still doesn't. And again, because this side of the shack is so strong, even if you fuck up and vault the window, you can always immediately do this. Sometimes the killer is going to get the hit. Most of the time he's not. The killer has to like turn the corner here, already fucking lunging at you to hit you here. But be careful. Like, again, that side of the window to this, like this, if you vault it like this, you're almost always safe. Almost always, but not really. So you gotta be careful, especially because the vaults are fixed. When you fast vault, you gain so much distance that like vaulting back is kind of weird. But it's still, like, if you die at check, you suck. Okay, and then you can always just press spacebar and then you're completely safe over here, you know? Like, you're fine. Those are my tips at check. But remember, don't check spot over here. You guys are gonna see me doing these like corner shack check spots when I'm at check. But I never do it next to the door because this is horrible. Again, you're gonna want to check spot over here. You stand right here and you pay attention to what the killer's gonna do to you. You can see I'm being stalked, man. You can see the killer like vaulting the window here. And then, like, let's say you're looping, you can peek at the window here, and if you see a red stain there, that means that the killer is vaulting. Unless it's fucking otzdarva and he's faking vaulting the window, and then he forces you to run this way, and then he jump scares you here. But most of the time, you're gonna be fine. Just check spot like this. All right, let's move away from shack. That's enough shack explanation. I did nothing. All right, this style is very complicated. I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't even know what what the optimal rotation is for this towel. This is a very uncommon towel as well. I don't loop this towel as much as the other towels in the game because I just don't see it as much as the other towels in the game. But I guess like this looping this palette is very hard because again, even though this looks strong, it looks strong. Okay, this side of the palette it looks strong, and maybe it is strong because you can like check spot over here maybe. Yeah, if the killer is like chasing you in this side, you can just check spot over here. I don't recommend running through this palette, even if you plan on going for the window, because this is a very strong rotation that I'm doing here. It's very good, actually. It's very good. But there's always like once you turn here, the killer can just double back. I guess you can also check spot over here. Yeah, you can also check spot over here. So I guess you gotta abuse these two corners like this. But in a chase, it's very confusing. Let's say you're fucking injured, deep wound, you're sitting here, check spot, and you're gonna die, man. Like, it's just gonna happen. Like, I don't know. Like, I would say just pre-drop this palette if you're not comfortable with looping. I would never pre-drop this palette myself. I would never pre-drop this palette myself, but like... I don't know. Like this seems hard. This seems very hard. It's very easy to get mind gamed here, especially if you don't apply the like walking mid chase to pay attention to what the killer is doing thing that I talked about. It's hard. But this window is very strong. This window is extremely strong. You can vault this window 3 times just like this, just by itself. Just by paying attention to what the killer is doing. Also, fast vaulting it this way is not super insanely hard, but it's hard because if the killer is chasing you from that direction, he can just double back and kill you. Yeah, it's too easy for the killer to kill you here, even if you do get the fast vault perfectly. So yeah, this cell is complicated. I would say it's the more complicated one because it's like quote-unquote new, I think. Look at the cockroach. Jungle gems. Jungle gems are simple. I think they're simple enough that everyone can understand. The check spots are very clear. Like, this is very clear. If the killer sees, like, comes from this direction, you're fucking dead. So what you want to do is you probably want to check spot over here, like this. Look at how much vision you have. You can see everything. You're a fucking king when you're over here. One thing I don't see a lot of people doing is when the killer is, like, giga ultra mind gaming, you don't have to fucking play the palette. You can just run straight like this and go for the window over here. This is a movement that like I do a lot of the times, and the killers are caught off guard by it because people are scared of like just moving away from the palette. Just remember that you have a window over here as well, and this window is stronger than the other one I was talking about because of this side of the window over here. This is good for the killer as well because he can mind game you, but like look at how easy it is to fast vault this. You know, like this side of the window is extremely powerful. So jungle gym, what you want to do, I guess, like the optimal movements, which you don't choose as a survivor, by the way. You don't choose how you're gonna run something. The killer chooses how you're gonna run something. But you like the killer is chasing you from this side. It's just go for the window. You know, it's pretty simple. Killer's chasing you from this side. Apply what I talked about. If you like ultra mind gaming, fucking double back otzdarva movements, you just go this way. And then you go for the window over here. You can even medium vault this one. You're probably gonna be fine. You know, don't gotta pay too much attention to fast vaulting this one. Jungle gems are simple enough. I don't think I want to talk about TNLs. You guys fucking suck at TNLs. You suck. I see people on Twitter and they're like posting clips of themselves looping and they're like want to be praised, but you guys are fucking dog shit at TNLs. TNLs are like they're not complicated, but they're hard enough that people just fuck them up all the time. Killers also fuck them up. There's a lot of mind games the killer can do here. It's just whoever has the most knowledge on TNLs wins. But TNLs, there's so many things you can do. You can go like this and you can fake vaulting the window. You can go this way, especially if there are objects here. You can also fake vaulting this window, and then the killer is a 50-50. TNLs are 50-50s most of the time because like pretty much at every turn, this could be a 50-50. You know, but TNLs are killer sided. Okay, looping a TNL, if the killer is not giving you the optimal rotation, and the optimal rotation would be this way because look, I'm being chased this way, and then I have instant access to this window over here, and then if the killer keeps chasing me this way, I have instant access to that window. So if the killer is like giving you the optimal rotation, TNLs are fucking unbeatable. Okay? Like this, TNLs are fucking broken. The thing is, if the killer is chasing you like this, TNLs are fucking dog shit. This fast vault is extremely hard because some TNLs don't have the boxes here. And if you don't want, the boxes make TNLs stronger because the killer also has to make the movements and then you can like go wide for the fast vaults. But let's say you're here, for example, you're being chased here, then it's another 50-50. You know, it's a 50-50 here, and then you're looking behind yourself and oh, there's no red stain. There's a red stain, he's double backing, and then he just shows up because he's moonwalking, you know? But a lot of people suck at TNLs. There's a lot of things you can do, but they're not easily explainable. It's more like understanding killer behavior, the killer that's chasing you's behavior. So I guess TNLs are just 50-50s most of the time. But this is, like, there's not even, like, very good check spots on TNLs. I guess there's this one that's very powerful. Because you can see both this side, and you can see if the killer is mind gaming to that side. Remember that windows are great for check spotting. Because you can see more than you can see in a corner, you know? Because, like, here, you're relying on, like, seeing half of the killer's body and maybe the red stain. There, you're relying on seeing everything that the killer is doing, you know? You're seeing his entire body. You're seeing what he's thinking. You're seeing through his soul. You know, this side is kind of sucky. Like, even though you still have access to a window here, it's just bad because you have way less peripheral vision, you know. And but I mean, the check spots on TNLs are pretty much the same as check. I mean, the check spots are like pretty similar everywhere, you know. It's like you go to the corner that gives you the most vision and the last chance for the killer to reach you. But yeah, it's really simple. These styles are simple. It's just a matter of you understanding how to hug the things, right? A lot of people tell me that they get stuck on things, but that's just because you don't know how to slide on them. You gotta understand the, like, I'm not just holding W here and hoping that my character moves correctly. You gotta understand, like, this is a circle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go forwards, and then I'm gonna see here, I'm literally letting go of my W key and I'm just holding A to slide on this thing. See, because like I go from like hugging a circle to this. So I'm not gonna look, if I keep holding W here, like, I'm just gonna go forwards, you know? So you're not sliding. You're not, like, doing the optimal thing. So, and also, I see people doing this. I saw someone in a video doing this. Like, you're losing distance here. You don't want to go like this. You don't want to hug this side. Like, once you're here, you gotta think of, like, how your character is gonna move into the next object. So this is how you loop these, like, things. You know, you don't always hug them. You hug them when they're, like... I think it's just it's self-explanatory. Like I'm going in a circle here. It's almost a perfect circle what I'm doing. You never want to go like this. You're just losing distance. I mean, I guess you're not. I mean, I guess in this case it's like whatever. It doesn't really make a difference if you go like this. But it's a matter of just like I'm tapping W, I'm tapping S here. I'm pressing a bunch of keys. Just pay attention to how my character's moving. You can tell which keys that I'm pressing here. I wish I had a keyboard on my screen though. And this is how you hug these things very, very tight. And this doesn't look like it makes that much of a difference, but it makes a huge difference. This is the difference between life and death in these styles and how many times you can loop them. Again, if you have made for this the most broken perk in the game, you can fucking get stuck on everything and loop this 52 times. Right, you can go like this because made for this is so fucking broken that you can loop this 152 times and the killer's not going to reach you. Like, assuming you don't have it, you gotta actually pay attention. You want to loop this side against ranged killers, and this side against, like, most normal killers. This side is, like, weaker if the killer... I guess on this style specifically, it doesn't make a difference. Getting dizzy. Oh, also, you can use these things as well. This is kind of hard to explain, but sometimes you can move from here to, like, here. It's not because there isn't a pallet here that you can't use these things. You can always move back, and then if the killer double backs, you can go like this, and then you go back to the pallet. This is a way to, like, extend the loop. As long as it's an object, you can use it to loop the killer. Just as long as you know that you have enough distance to make it back to the pallet, you know? So, like, don't be scared of, like, experimenting with other things. Just running around the things around the pallet. This is not even bad. This is not even bad. It's actually good. It extends the chase. Even if it extends the chase for like 2-3 seconds, it's good. Okay, use these things. Unless the killer has bloodlust. This is just a pre-drop. I could sit here. I'm gonna have people telling me that this is not a pre-drop. I could sit here and explain to you how to loop this thing perfectly. This is extremely killer sided. The killer can kill you here so many different ways. Just pre-drop this shit and run away. Okay? This side is unloopable. This side is kind of loopable, but like, do you see how fat these fucking walls are? Like, you can't fucking check spot them. You can't. They're too big. Okay? You can only loop killers here if they're easy to predict. Another thing you can do is you can move here. And then you can go around this way. But like, everything is so fat and tall. This is not good. Pre-drop this, run away. Unless you have made for this, then you can loop this 132 times, I'm gonna say, before the killer reaches you. Even if it double backs, you're gonna escape because it's the most broken perk in the game. Other than that though, pre-drop. These are like the filler pellets. This is probably the worst pellet in this map. You can still, it's loopable exclusively because you can see the killer over. But again, this is an easy double back. This is an easy double back. And if you don't get the stun here, like, this is such a bad pallet. This is such a bad pallet. You know? You can only get about 117 with made for this. Wow. That's crazy. Not even the most broken perk in the game can get you 132. Cars are really satisfying. Because cars, like, in the killer screen, it's going to look like they're almost making it to you. But because the car is weird, like, even for you as a survivor, sometimes the killer is going to look like he's much closer to you than what he actually is because of these sides of the car. There's like a weird property with these cars. It's like an optical illusion. Sometimes it looks like the killer is going to be able to hump you and kill you, but he still has to like make the corner here. It's like a weird thing. I don't think I've ever had this on any other loop. Because you have so much vision of the killer here, and this is so hard, so easy to slide on, the cars are usually very strong. And it's hard for the killer to double back on you here because you have so much vision of him. Like, do you see how small this is? But it's like, it's like not too fat, but it's also not too skinny. And it's just extremely square. This is amazing to slide on. Amazing. Very good. And then the killer's like giga double backing and fucking, I'm crazy, I'm doing the mind games. You're still gonna be able to see him, right? So, the fuck, he was up there. So you can like just sit here in the corner of the car, and then if you see the killer, wow, look at me. There's red. You can just sit here looking at him. You know, you sit here looking at him, and you're like, yeah, what you gonna do? But those mind games are not gonna work because I can see you. You know. Also, as a killer, you only want to double back at the pallet. Double backing when you're not at the pallet just means that the survivor is gonna stun you from the other side. You know. So as the killer, if you're gonna do crazy otzdarva mind games, you do it at the pallet. What else do we have? Main buildings are different on every map, but the main buildings, assuming there's a breakable wall close to a window, that means that the window is fucking broken until they break the breakable wall. So the windows are very good if there's a breakable wall next to them. Just pay attention to that. I guess the overall tip is if you see a pallet with a window, prioritize the window, but don't be too greedy as well. Because, like, the windows aren't good, but they might kill you if you're too greedy with them. And Checkspot. Any questions? Say something in Portuguese. You gotta choose. Any questions? I'll take questions. No questions, really? No one? Zero questions? Leaving TNLs? I mean, yeah. Something else I guess is important to understand is that a lot of the times you don't gotta use the resource before moving away from it. Let me see if I can find an example. Like here, for example. This is kind of hard because the TNL is really far away. Like, let's say you're being chased this way. If you have a feeling you can make it all the way to the TNL, you do it, you know? You can move from pallet to pallet, like easy. Sometimes. Because, again, this is muscle memory. You understand how fast the killer is moving and what you can make and what you can't make. This comes with playtime. But you can move, like, from like, thing to thing. But I guess what you're talking about when you say leaving TNLs is that sometimes you feel like you're stuck on the TNLs, right? I understand the sentiment. Let's say you're injured here, fucking deep wounded, plague puked, and you can't see another palette, you feel like you're gonna die at TNL. Sometimes that's the case. Like, sometimes it's just the way it's gonna be. You're just gonna die on the TNLs. The window loops are weak because you can't break the killer's bloodlust on them. And then moving away from them is extremely hard. If the color is bloodlust 3, and you can't make it from TNLs to the palette. So the best thing you can do is like move away from the TNL as fast as possible, so the killer doesn't build too much bloodlust. But again, things are not always gonna be in your control. You know, DBD, you're not meant to loop the killer for too long, guys. And that's why watching people loop killers is so satisfying. It's because you're not supposed to. You know, you're not supposed to loop them forever. It's not a 1v1. You're gonna die eventually, and the killer has a bunch of things in his favor to kill you eventually. It's all about wasting as much time as possible. So if you know that you're gonna die here, you just waste as much of his time as fucking possible before you die. That's your main goal. How to efficiently link loops? If you did, I joined the stream. Well, I mean, I guess I kind of talked about it here, where like you want to go from this to this thing, and maybe if you're on this thing, you can go for the palette over here that you pre-dropped earlier. You know, there's no efficient way to link loops. It just depends on the setup you have. It's all about the setup you have, because like this is a dead zone, for example, so you can't link that with anything else. Efficiently linking loops is like understanding the patterns here. Like, for example, this. Let's say you're going like this, and you see that you can make shack, for example. Then you go for shack, you know. The killer will earn his power. Yeah. For me, I got a feeling I can feel and think of where to go without dead zoning me. Yeah, this, again, a lot of these things come with time. It's just playing the game. You play the game a lot, and then you start understanding these things. But you guys gotta be greedy, guys. Like, you gotta be greedy. You can't be pre-dropping pallets. If you're pre-dropping pallets and running away, you're never gonna learn. You gotta die, guys. That's just the way it is. You gotta go down. You gotta get fucking tunneled sometimes. That's the way you learn. You lose first. Right? You lose first and then you learn. There is no magic pill. There's no way to like immediately know things. No amount of Puffalope watching is gonna make you a better player if you don't actually play the game. You know? Like, you gotta lose. Like, it's just the way video games, it's just the way humans work. Trial and error. You try it out until you fucking get it. It's just the way it is. Puff is telling me to die in game. You gotta lose. There's no way around it, guys. There's nothing you can do. You're gonna have to die sometimes. Be fucking greedy. Understand your limits. It's called limit testing. Where I come from. In League of Legends, we call it limit testing. And he ignores my redeem. What's the redeem? What's the word you want me to say in Portuguese? Tim and Zach. Give me your words. I'll say them. You scared me again. There you go, that's it.